Phanton Brave is the latest release from Japanese developer Nippon. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because Nippon really come to the forefront for a lot of hardcore strategy gamers in the past year with releases like Disgaea Hour of Darkness and La Pucelle Tactics. Phanton Brave is their latest release. It's actually the first to be published in America by their newly created American branch. Now, while Phantom Brave is basically just a turn-based strategy game, like Nippon-Ichi's previous games, it actually manages to do quite a lot of innovative things, which is kind of something that hasn't been going on in the turn-based strategy genre. Phantom Brave follows the adventures of a young girl named Morona. We sort of see that she has a rough start to life. There's much murdering and mayhem when she's a young girl, so she loses her parents. So when you finally take control of Morona, she's got herself a nice island that she's renting out with money that she is making from using her special abilities. Because it turns out that Morona has the ability to summon phantoms and control them. Phantom Brave is a very big game. It really enjoys telling its story because you're going to see long cinematic scenes that fill you in on what's going on and kind of really do a very successful job of creating a very believable world. You're going to find that Phantom Brave uses pretty conventional structure that's very easy to get into and easy to understand. You will find a ton of phantoms to interact with and use in the game. And the cool thing is that the phantoms are useful in battle, obviously, but also extremely useful on your island because in some cases they will be item merchants or come in other useful classes that you'll be able to use, when you're not in a fight. Now, as far as the combat goes, Phantom Brave is kind of a more challenging and kind of unique twist on your typical strategy game. The basic structure of it is exactly what you'd expect. It's turn-based, it's your guys against somebody else's guys. The tricky thing here is Morona's phantoms are basically ghosts, so in order to actually have them become physical and be able to perform attacks and whatnot, you need to bind them to different physical objects. This is where the game gets interesting because what ends up happening is these objects that you bind the characters to kind of change their statistics. So basically, if you bind, say, a warrior to like a rock or a piece of wood or something, it's going to build up his attack power, his hit points, things like that. Whereas like a healer or an alchemist or something along those lines, you're probably going to want to bind to like a plant because that sort of enhances their natural attributes as well. Fortunately, every time you start a fight, there's going to be objects on the battlefield that you're going to be able to bind everybody to. The trick is going to be to figure out who gets what. And it becomes increasingly more challenging as your group gets bigger and you have a wider variety of characters to use. Your phantoms are sort of limited use. They're only good for a set amount of turns or a set amount of damage, whichever comes first. So the key to victory in a lot of battles is being able to make the most of your phantoms while you have them. If it sounds sort of like heavy on strategy and sort of complicated, it kind of is, but the actual gameplay system and the mechanics and whatnot, they're actually really easy to understand, not super easy to master. The AI is pretty intense. The fights can get long and they can get dirty and complicated. You're really going to have to be on your toes because from what we've seen so far, the AI is not really that forgiving. So we clocked in a good amount of time with Phantom Brave and it's definitely a lot of fun. Really challenging. Battle system, it's definitely something that if you're a hardcore strategy fan, you're going to love. If you're not as hardcore, don't be intimidated because it's not that hard to pick up. It's still a really good challenge and you don't get many games as well done as this. If strategy is your thing, or if you're just curious to see what all the fuss is about, you should check it out. Phantom Brave is slated to ship this August for the PlayStation 2.